When his presidency ended on March 4, 1825, James Monroe resided at Monroe Hill, what is now included in the grounds of the University of Virginia. Monroe spent the first 5 years of his retirement at his Oak Hill residence in Albany, Virginia. In August 1825, the Monroes had received the Marquis de Lafayette and President John Quincy Adams as guests there. He devoted himself to reading, with his private library containing over 3,000 books, most of which he had acquired during his stays in Europe. Monroe began work on a book of political theory, The People the Sovereigns, being a comparison of the government of the United States with those of the republics which have existed before, with the causes of their decadence and fall. The work was designed to highlight the difference between governments and people of the United States and other countries, ancient and modern, to show that certain issues that produced disastrous effects in them were not present in America. In 1829, Monroe abandoned work on The People the Sovereigns after hearing George Hay's unfavorable reaction to the manuscript. Hay suggested that Monroe write an autobiography, which would be more interesting and valuable to posterity. Monroe, delighted with the idea, began working on an autobiography, but died before it could be completed. In retirement, he was plagued by pressing financial worries. As minister to France during the 1790s, he had to take out substantial private loans to fulfill representative duties and diplomatic protocol due to his moderate pay. As early as 1797, he had asked Congress for an expense allowance and had been waiting in vain for a payment ever since. In the last days before handing over to Adams, Monroe wrote to Jefferson and Madison asking them to support him in his claims against Congress if necessary. He sold off his Highland plantation to the Second Bank of the United States out of financial necessity. It is now owned by his alma mater, the College of William and Mary, which has opened it to the public as a historic site. Throughout his life, he was financially insolvent, which was exacerbated by his wife's poor health. Monroe served on the Board of Visitors for the University of Virginia under Jefferson and the second rector, James Madison, both former presidents, nearly until his death. Monroe had previously been a member of the original board of Central College. However, the demands of the presidency prevented him from continuing as a board member. At the annual examinations in July, he presided over the Board of Examiners. When there was considerable indiscipline among the students, Monroe suggested in a report in 1830 that military drill be added to the curriculum, but Madison refused. Although already clearly marked by age and severely impaired by a horse accident in 1828, Monroe was elected as a delegate to the Virginia Constitutional Convention of 1829 to 1830. He was one of 4 delegates elected from the senatorial district made up of his home district of Loudoun and Fairfax County. In October 1829, he was elected by the convention to serve as the presiding officer, until his failing health required him to withdraw on December 8, after which Philip P. Barber of Orange County was elected presiding officer. Shortly before his death, Monroe was dealt a severe blow when his son-in-law and close advisor George Hay died on September 21, 1830, and his wife Elizabeth died just 2 days later. Upon Elizabeth's death in 1830, Monroe moved to 63 Prince Street at Lafayette Place, in New York City to live with his daughter Maria Hester Monroe Gouverneur, who had married Samuel L. Gouverneur. On July 4, 1831, Monroe died at age 73 from heart failure and tuberculosis, thus becoming the 3rd president to have died on Independence Day. His death came 55 years after the United States Declaration of Independence was proclaimed and 5 years after the deaths of John Adams and Thomas Jefferson. Monroe was originally buried in New York at the Gouverneur family's vault in the New York City Marble Cemetery. 27 years later, in 1858, his body was reinterred at the President's Circle in Hollywood Cemetery in Richmond, Virginia. The James Monroe Tomb is a U.S. National Historic Landmark.